He's going to start over, and we don't really know much about Mike yet, so it'll be interesting to hear his icebreaker for this club. And so let's give a round of applause for Mike. All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. All right. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, a few months ago I started a new endeavor. I started actually trying to take German. And part of the reason why I decided to take German as well, it was free and it was offered by my company. They're German, so it made a lot of sense. But also to get away from the typical engineering problems that I face on a day-to-day basis. And when studying German, I came across a very interesting word. It's a word that we don't have in English. And I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, so I hope no one can speak German. But it is gemütlich. And as I said, there's no real direct translation, but it characterizes the ambiance of a cozy, well-decorated home. And when I think of that, I think of two well-cushioned chairs in front of a burning fireplace on top of an intricately designed carpet. To me, it's just such a clear image. I feel like it's one so definite and also so very readily available to our experience to relate to. So with that, in studying in German, I found that just an expansion of your day-to-day vocabulary can bring so much to the table. It can really heighten your experience. And I'd like to give a few examples of the way I try to alter my vocabulary to, well, make things a little more interesting. And the first example relates to my golf game. I am a very terrible golf player, and this is an objective fact. Good golf players, average golf players, do not hit the ball straight into the water 3 times in a row. But it's almost a running joke that whenever I go golfing with my friends, I always end the rounds and I say, well, I'm lucky because I just have so much opportunity for improvement. And while this almost sounds like a garbage corporate catchphrase that I'm brainwashed into saying, the comic irony enlightens the situation in and of itself. And just by keeping the joke running, I'm sure I lower a few points in my blood pressure and I keep coming back and I try to get better. Another way I try to use words to an expanded vocabulary to try to add a little bit of flavor to my life is that, especially coming down from, I went to school at Virginia Tech, and it's 4 hours from my home up in Northern Virginia. And every single time I'd come home, I would always say, what a long, awful drive. And every time I'd come back, it would just be just a terrible painted picture, and I'd go home, I'd go right to sleep almost right away because I was so exhausted. But ever since about halfway through my second to third year, I'd come back and I would just try to paint a different picture. Well, it might be terrible. I might say that it was treacherous, that it was non-stop traffic. I would try to create a story with it. I would try to use more adjectives and paint at least a clearer picture so I didn't just remember it as a long, terrible, boring drive. And why would someone want to do this? Why would someone want to use more than just the word long or just the word great? Well, to me, I just think it makes things more interesting. It adds a little bit of color to what would be a terrible situation. And, well, it makes it so that you can, I guess, discern between different experiences that you have, and you can express your opinions more thoroughly. The last way that I like to use words is, well, interpersonally in communication. And with that, I would like the next time that you're really annoyed with someone, that you have road rage, that you're infuriated, that you say that you're absolutely peeved with someone and try to keep a straight face. And to me, I think that's so far-fetched, but just the act of saying peeved or something ridiculous in that vein will lighten the mood immediately, will absolutely change the direction of whatever conversation you're having, and will allow you to really direct the way that you want the conversation to continue from there, and it may not end up in a fistfight. All of this is to say, the use of words to me is one of the main reasons why we're in Toastmasters. Of course, for From the outset, everyone wants to get better at public speaking, and there's a lot of components to that. There's the presence up in front of a crowd. There's the nerves that everyone has to deal with. But to me, my favorite part of Toastmasters is the attention that you have to spend when evaluating a speech, when acting as grammarian. You really have to listen quite a bit. When going up for table topics, it's very spontaneous, it's very impromptu. And to me, I feel like one very overlooked way that you can direct your speeches, that you can direct your own experience in your life, is just by the very words that you use every day. So with that, I encourage us all to expand our vocabulary a little bit. Mr. Toastmaster, thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for that speech. That was a nice, interesting take on the icebreaker, using kind of a storyline to describe some points in your life, but also giving us some information to make better our lives as well. So thank you for that, Mike. And I will definitely try to say P next time, because I started laughing just thinking about saying that when I was in Madison. And I've tried to learn German too, and I'm bad at it, so
It's hard.
keep going. Don't give up. Okay, for our next speaker tonight, we will have Imogene Morehouse. She's also doing our icebreaker. It's her first speech. So let's welcome Imogene to the podium.
Thank you.
Do you have your book? So I can,
Yeah,
I'll get it.
It's, I already did one 5 years ago,
Okay.
but I got a piece of paper, you feel free, so I can staple it together so I can learn what I messed up and stuff. So, feel free.
Okay. I'll use the paper. I got a copy if you could.
Okay. Welcome, Toastmasters and visitors. My name is Imogene Morehouse, and I will be speaking on my experience about me growing up. I would like to start off as I was in 1960. My mother could not take care of me, so I grew up in an orphanage home in Houston, Texas, the Belgian Faith Home. And I was 3 years old. My brothers and sisters was 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we went to our first foster home in Houston, and the relationship with our parents was pretty good, but they had marital problems where they were jealous, and there was alcohol, and there were some abusive things in the home. So I had to leave, and I went to the second foster home, and I guess I was about 6 or 7, first or second grade. And actually, you would think that people would want real nice children and try to help them, but living out in the country, the second foster home was the Wilkersons, and they wasn't very nice at all. They were very abusive, beaten wise, and I had fear, and I had sexual abuse not only from my home, but from the neighbors too, as teenagers. So I had a lot of problems, and I was invited to go to Sunday school to one of my girlfriends in school. So I begged and pleaded if I could go. And of course, I begged and pleaded, and they said I could go to Sunday school with my little girlfriend. So I went to Sunday school, and her Sunday school teacher told me that Jesus could get me out of any situation I was in. So I took it by heart, and I went to the wash house, which is a little storage where people used to wash their clothes back in the days. And that used to be our playroom. So I got on my knees and asked Jesus to please get us out of this foster home. Well, I happened that about 2 weeks later, I was invited to go to a slumber party. And this was my first slumber party for one of my girlfriends at school. And I was in second grade or third, and I begged and pleaded, and I got to go. And it was so much fun. Their parents was really nice, and I happened to share my experience with my little girlfriend, Lynn. And Lynn told her father, and her told her mother, and they could remember seeing the fear on my face, because if I knew that if my foster father found out, he would kill me. And so it worked out that they went to the Powhatan Faith Home and talked to the caseworkers. And this was the caseworker's very first time of even experiencing things like this. So they came out, and I was praying really hard that I would go with them. And it worked out that I did. So my brothers and sisters was left there, and I went to this emergency situation with this elderly lady. She was 75, and she raised she raised dogs for a living, puppies and all. So we learned to wash the dog pans and help take care of the dogs' houses and stuff and clean them. And when she died, me and my brothers and sisters got separated. So I had an opportunity to find out if I want to go back in foster care or I want to move on campus. Well, the Powhatan Faith Home campus has 6 cottages and about 8 kids in a cottage, and altogether there's about 126 children that they had problems too because of their parents or something or another. And so I moved on campus when I was 13, and I'm glad I did. We ended up having arts and crafts after school, and we had counselors I could go and talk to if I was feeling angry or something, you know, and that was good when you have someone you could talk out your feelings when you're having feelings as a teenager. I also went to church a lot. I sang in the choir, and I just loved it. And after 2 years, I got a job working at a flower shop. I was 14 years old, but I looked older than my age. So I went to Studio Flowers, and Daddy Don, which I call him because he's the only father image I had that I could trust, and I worked for him for 8 years. So I worked for him for 8 years, and I left Faith Home, and I put myself into a program where young adults was in jail, you know, young girls was in jail. But I come in from the Powhatan Faith Home because I wanted to learn how to be in an apartment complex, and they teach you how to budget, they teach you how to write checks, and I was still working after school. Well, I forgot to tell you that when I was on campus, I was the first girl on campus to have my first car. I had to stand in front of about 12 men, powerful men, and explain to them why I wanted a car on campus. So I did, and I'm very grateful I got my first car on campus. So I started the routine for the girls and the guys that have cars on campus. So anyways, after that, I was in high school. I was doing really good, but I ended up starting drinking, and I got kicked out, but I still went to graduation and the prom. So I knew that wasn't me. So I asked to go to Reagan and check myself in another school. So they let me, because I was only 2 weeks behind, and I graduated, and I went another year, and I finished school. I didn't have no parents who helped me get an apartment, but because I had gone to this program for a year, it really helped me a lot to learn to be on my own. And then after that, I moved to Florida. I fell in love with the white beaches, and I guess I was about 20 years old by now. And I fell in love with the beaches. I was very good making flower arrangements. So I made flower arrangements, and then also went to school, because that's all I knew, work and go to school. So I went to school at Florida State College in Niceville, Florida. I found out that my grades was only a 7th grade, even though I had a high school diploma. I guess back then they just passed you because of your age. But that wasn't going to stop me. I went ahead and joined the GED classes, even though I had a high school diploma. And I got that education, and I ended up going to improving myself. I ended up being working in the prison ministry with a church, sharing my experiences. So the Lord used me that way to share my experiences, how He healed me with a lot of my problems I had. And also went to, had my own daycare for 14 years. And then I moved to Mobile, Alabama, found out what Firewatch was, and been working at also USA and BAE. And I thoroughly enjoy it, and I am looking forward to become a real good speaker. So thank you kindly.
Thank you, Imogene, for that speech. Got to know you, really nice timeline of your life, so thank you for that. Now we're going to go to the table topics portion of our meeting, and that's going to be led by John. John, you ready to?
Yes, thank you. Ready to come up there?
Yeah, you can come up here.
I just got a question about the table topics.
Yeah.
What is it again?
So John will typically just pick a volunteer, and then he'll ask a question or make a point, and then you have to come speak impromptu for a few minutes on the topic of the question. It's kind of like an improv type.
You can watch the first person.
Yeah, you watch a couple
Good
people,
idea.
and if you want to take a shot at it, feel free to volunteer. Sorry, John.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, my name is John Murphy. Tonight I've been asked to give the table topics. I'll start off with my first question. Do I do a question first and then ask them to volunteer, or first?
Do it however you want.
Yeah. I typically like to call somebody out and then surprise them.
Okay. Just because you're that way. Do I have a volunteer? Okay. Here is your question. What is your greatest challenge?
Esteemed guests and Toastmasters, I think one of the greatest challenges I will continue to face throughout my lifetime is learning to communicate science and connecting with people on a deeper level. Because I've been fortunate enough to have, I believe, a talent for learning chemistry and biology and science and environmental science and all these very tough topics that come to the environment. I think the problem that I'll be facing going forward is learning how to communicate that effectively with people who don't have that type of background and understanding and training as I do. I think that if I don't develop this effective type of communication with people who don't have necessarily the same type of training and background as I do, then I feel that that type of knowledge is worthless, because it's important to not only take in knowledge but to share it with the people who will most benefit from it. And when it comes to environmental justice work, which I'm very passionate about, of working with community members who are having to put up with toxic waste facilities or toxic fumes in their backyard, the last thing they're going to be concerned about is learning the chemistry or the biology or the particular pollutant that's in their space. What they'll be more concerned about is knowing how is it going to be impacting their community, how is it going to be impacting their kids, their pets, the soil, the water in their area, and then most importantly, they're going to be more concerned about how do we get this stuff out of our community, not addressing or identifying a particular pollutant. So I think marrying and understanding how to communicate effectively with community members who don't understand science or don't care to learn about the science as much as I do, I think that'll be the greatest challenge I'll be facing going forward. Mr. Tabletop Master.
Do I have any other volunteers? Next question. What have you done in the last year that makes you proud?
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, the question that was posed to me, what have I done in the past year that makes me proud? Well, one thing, if nothing else, I am scheduled to make a speech next week, and if I successfully complete that speech, I'll earn my Advanced Communicator Bronze Award for Toastmasters. So that is at least one thing that I'm proud of achieving during the past year? Mr. Topic Master.
I'm confident that you'll do very well. So I have another volunteer. Okay. Which is worse, failing or never trying?
It's a great question. To fail or to never try. I think if you had something you really wanted to achieve in your life and you never gave it a shot because of the fear of that failure, which we all have, it's just human nature to fear the failure of, what if I can't do it? What if people don't like me? But I think if you go your entire life and you never do the thing, you really regret it. And it's a good practice to maybe, if you haven't experienced some kind of fear in your life recently, to maybe kind of reanalyze what you're doing and just try something that maybe puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit. Listen to a podcast by Tim Ferriss, and he has this habit or practice called fear setting. So he just every now and then, once a quarter, he'll kind of do something that kind of puts him out of his comfort zone. He would talk to random strangers about something uncomfortable, but you don't have to go that far. But I think it is important, and it's something that I try to practice somewhat. This is coming to Toastmasters was getting out of my comfort zone, doing something new, and it's a never-ending battle. So I think trying it, maybe failing, learning from your experiences is the way to go, and not regretting never giving it a shot. Mr. Top.
Very good.
Thank you, John.
Go ahead. All right, and your name? I'm sorry? Yuri? Good job, hi. Thank you. The next question. What are your top 3 priorities?
Top 3.
Top 3 priorities.
Really? What means priority? It's up priority.
What do you want to get done?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Goals
priority.
or-
Yeah, favorite. Anything.
Yeah, like a goal or.
Oh, no, 3.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Top 3. Too much. Like, Toastmaster, our guest. Top 3 priority. I think first. 1, 2. Have a good job, and my job to use all my education background, my experience, and also the environment was very good. And the second one, I would like do something, but there's no hope to come. That's my dream, only dream. I cannot come true. That's in China I'm a pediatrician, but I come here. I didn't take any examination, so I have no certificate. So I hope, I wish I can practice like a medical practice at here, but because I have no, I think that this take the exam and got a certificate for me is a little bit hard, so no way. And the third one is when I came here, I work at a laboratory to do the genetics test, diagnosis test. So because I have the PhD degree and the MD degree, so it's for my education background, I can do the lab director. But also I have to have a certificate. Before I got this certificate, I have to, like some program, training program accepted me, but I just apply one time, but I failed. So all I'm 3 top priority never come to true. So that's where I'm very so sad. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have time for another?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Okay. Do I have another volunteer? Okay. Would you rather have less work or more work you actually enjoy?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Paul. Yeah, my name's Paul. And the question was, would I rather have less work or more work that I enjoy? Well, for me, I know what it's like to have less work, and that means less money. For me, I'm a welder, so, and I do enjoy welding when it's new construction. That's what I'm pursuing right now, is more work that I enjoy. It's just it's funny you would ask that, because today I got 2 job offers. One was for new construction, which I enjoy, but there's a welding test involved, and so they both, you know, are long-term. And the less work is, I don't know why I said less work, sorry about that. The other job is repair work, and that's not what I like to do, but there's no welding test required, so I can just go up there and get to work and start making some money. And I've been just kind of stressed out about not having work or less work lately, and so I'm in the process of just heading up there just to get to work and go with that for right now to get out of the stress I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that concludes our topics master session for tonight. So I'll relinquish the lecture for Toastmasters.
Thank you, John. Was that your first time running tabletop?
Yes.
Good job. Pretty good. Enjoyed it. Now I'll introduce Maurice. He's the general evaluator for tonight. He will kick off the evaluation portion of the meeting.
All right, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I'll give a quick general evaluation of tonight's meeting. The meeting started on time. There was no recess. We went over business. The lectern at times was unoccupied, but we did good overall tonight. I will now introduce the first evaluator, and he's going to evaluate Mike's speech. It's Diego. Yeah, okay. Okay, the first evaluator is Diego, okay. I'm just trying to see who's first, who's second.
Thanks, Maurice.
All right, thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters, I was assigned today to evaluate Mike's fourth speech in the competent communication called How to Say It. And so I'm going to go over a few of the questions that I was asked to reflect on in order to evaluate his speech. The first question was the speech topic appropriate for this particular assignment? Of course, Mike started out talking about how words shape our understanding and how our perspectives might shift based on the words that we use, and so I thought this was a very appropriate topic to go along with this, the purpose of this particular speech. Did the speaker use simple, short, and clear words? I found this to be very satisfactory again. He was using a nice combination of long and short words. Did the speaker use vivid, descriptive words that created mental images? the very first image that he planted in all of us was the word gemütlich, to mean two velvet chairs in front of a fireplace. So that was a very vivid image, and I felt like I wanted to be in that image if I had the chance. Did the speaker use words that had more than one meaning or were inaccurate? I didn't notice any ambiguous words being used, so I think that was a good sign. Were the speaker's sentences short, simple, and understandable? Like I said, he was using a combination of long words and short words, and also long form sentences and short form sentences, so it was a nice diversity of thought taking place in the speech. Did the speaker use rhetorical devices to enhance his or her ideas? I was trying to reflect on the speech, and I did not notice any memorable similes or metaphors, but I might have been wrong on that. Maybe he used many rhetorical devices that I was just not aware of, and I was focusing on other parts of the assignment. Did the speaker avoid jargon and unnecessary words? Yes, he used really relatable words that we can easily understand. Did the speaker use proper grammar and pronunciation? The only case where I feel that he maybe fell short of this mark was when he used the word gorbid, trying to use the word garbage and corporate at the same time. But again, these types of hiccups just happen and we're all human. Was the speech purpose clear? And was the speech effectively organized? I noted that both of these were very excellent because he started out with a nice anecdotal introduction with some 3 specific examples, and then finally wrapping up with a nice conclusion. I think some areas of improvement might include doing a slower rate of speaking. I think that would have helped a lot. Maybe that would have helped him avoid the hiccups with mispronouncing words and things like that. And also some crutch words I noticed were being used. But overall, I really enjoyed the speech. I think he's from what I know, he seems to have grown a lot from the first 3 speeches, and I think this is a really well done presentation. Mr. General Evaluator.
The next evaluator for tonight is Cody, and he'll be evaluating Imogene's icebreaker speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have the pleasure to evaluate Imogene's speech. It's her first speech at this club, the icebreaker. I always love these because I get to know people a little better, people that I haven't got to talk to as much maybe. So I'm going to go through the evaluation portion for the icebreaker speech. Did the audience get to know the speaker? I think so. We got a detailed timeline of Imogene's life, kind of from her childhood to where she is now, so I thought that was good. We definitely got a sense of who you are and where you came from. Preparation, I thought you were well prepared. I don't know if you used notes. I couldn't really tell. I didn't see you looking down or reading, which is very good for your first speech. Clear, did you have like clear and audible speaking? Very clear, good volume for the room, so that's a plus. Some people have a little trouble with the getting the volume, maybe they talk a little too quietly or loudly. I thought the volume was great, and the speed of your speech was good. A lot of people, for the first time getting up here, tend to speak very fast, kind of get it over with, so that's good, to slow down, good pace. Did the speech have an opening, body, and conclusion? So you had kind of a timeline type speech, so I thought maybe the conclusion could have been a little stronger. You kind of just went through it and you ended up at your last statement. So maybe just, but the icebreaker is a little tough to do that because you don't really have, you're just kind of telling us about you. But that's my only critique on that. Notes, did you use notes? No, I didn't see you use any notes. Great job for your first speech. What could the speaker have done a little differently to improve? I noticed when you first got up here, you're kind of looking up at the room a little bit, but as you got more comfortable and you started making eye contact, so you actually corrected my critique throughout the speech, so that was good. That was the only thing I really could improve, and I thought your body language was good. Like I said, the volume in the speech. So what did I like about the speech? No use of notes for your first speech, that's awesome. Good volume, clear speaking, and I could sense the passion and what you were telling us about and kind of your career paths and changes in what you've done. So thank you very much. Great first speech.
Thank you. At this time, we will have our times report with Yu Ying.
the time is total is 5 minutes, 22 seconds. The second speaker is image. You use 7 minutes, 53
I
seconds.
really couldn't see those cards.
But you can use them.
Really did.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a table topic. Diego use 1 minute 50 seconds. Maria use 42 seconds. Cody use 1 minute 24 seconds. I use 2 minutes 17 seconds. Paul use 1 minute 40 seconds. And our evaluator first it's Diego. It's 3 minutes 8 seconds. And Cody is 2 minutes 17 seconds. That's it.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our grammarians report with Susan.
Thank you. I actually probably used more filler words in trying to describe the job of the grammarian than any of you did. So hats off to everyone. They did a very nice job. I discerned no filler words at all. I didn't notice any misuse of any words at all. So good job. Imogene, very few filler words at all. Maybe 3 so's and a couple of ums, but otherwise, especially when you're speaking from the heart like you did, very great job. One thing I did notice is subject-verb agreement. For instance, they wasn't instead of they weren't. There were a few times in there that I noticed that, but otherwise, wow, great job. What a testament.
Thank you.
Here we go again. Diego, of course, you're an expert speaker. I did not discern anything in your speech, any filler words. You always represent yourself very well.
Thank you.
Maurice, great job, as always. Sometimes I'm a little bit distracted by the hand movements.
Yeah, I need to work on that.
Well, isn't that important to have the hand movements? I thought that was important.
Well, there are certain ways to use hand movement. You just can't. I mean, I guess I've
Am I making my point now?
Yeah.
I noticed
Fellow
I do that
Toastmasters,
too.
yes.
And sometimes when I talk so much with my hands, I'll notice the people I'm talking to will start looking at my hands. So
Yes. Yeah, as you go
I
through
understand.
Toastmasters, you want to have your hand movements more deliberate to fit the speech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yu Ying, great job. I mean, when you get put on the spot to come up with your top 3 priorities in life, oh, okay. You did a great job with that. I didn't really notice any filler words. Paul, just great job for you. Hats off, you're coming up as a new person, walking in the front door for the first time, and you get up, and so thank you for that. Just a couple of ums and maybe so, but great job. And I don't know if I'm supposed to do evaluators.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay. You all were good. I really didn't notice. I think everyone was, they were very careful about not using filler words.
Okay, and did anyone use the word of the day?
No one did use malapropism.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't.
I thought you were going to because you were talking about words, and then you set yourself up where you could have
I
used
could,
it,
yeah.
and then so
Missed opportunity.
it was a hard one. It was,
was. I wasn't even going
to attempt
Yeah.
Thank you. And that concludes the general evaluation period, and I will relinquish the lectern back to the Toastmaster.
We don't have an educational overview. Do you have anything, Rich? Anybody want to get up here and say something educational? Have we gone over all the officer roles? I know I did mine last week.
I don't believe everybody did, but I don't know if she ever did one.
What what is you, man? Oh, she's the
Yeah,
VP of
Vice President
Education.
of Education.
You want to talk about
No,
VP?
yeah, sorry.
Well, I can give a brief description.
Go ahead.
VP of Education is responsible for the meeting agenda, so making sure that we have enough people to do the roles for the following week. So that's a big portion of her
Okay.
role. Also, that's pretty much it.
Yes, pretty much, yes.
That's pretty much it.
Me. Next.
Yeah. So leading into that, we will
Okay.
go into the next meeting for roles. Any volunteers?
Okay. We need a Toastmaster, General Evaluator, Topic Master, Speaker 1, Speaker 2, Evaluator, and Evaluator 4.
I volunteer to be first evaluator.
Okay.
I did make a speech request for next week.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm the human
yeah.
friend. Sure.
What's your speech
How
topic?
many?
It is how to prepare a speech.
So meta.
I'm here for that one.
So how many minutes should be?
Single speech?
I think it's 5 to 7,
Okay.
7, oh, 5.
if I remember correct. Well, actually, technically, according to the manual, I'm supposed to, it's communicating on video. I'm supposed to do the speech for 5 to 7 minutes and then play the speech. But my speech is going to be the video is going to be pre-recorded. I'm not going to tape the speech at the same time. And according to the manual, you don't evaluate my live speech, you evaluate the video speech.
Okay.
Okay.
So, watch your
Interesting.
Yeah. So, the next speaker, one being speaker. Second speaker, so evaluator,
I'm gonna evaluate Maurice, yes.
I'll do table topics next week.
evaluator, okay. Cool. It can be January evaluator.
Are Lawrence and Thomas, so is he back next week? Do we know?
I think Thomas is. Lawrence has had a couple of things pop up.
Yes.
Unusual for him.
Yes.
Usually here every day. But I think so. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Want to be a Toastmaster.
But well, that's good. I mean, they can go on and
Okay.
fill it out. We're a little ahead of schedule, but any comments, any points of business that might have been missed from the beginning?
What topics are you covering now in Speechcraft with the student? And what do you ask of volunteer tutors?
Well, for volunteers, you can be timer, you could be a topics master, you can evaluate the presentation, because I think Charles from Downtown Club, he's scheduled to do the presentation. And since we only have one student, there probably won't be any interactive activities.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I will now relinquish the lecture back to the standing president. Come conclude the meeting. Very
All
well.
right, thank you. And I'll just reiterate, as I did at the beginning of the meeting, for the Speechcraft, if you do a presentation, you can get a task award toward Advanced Communicator Gold, if you're striving toward that. But otherwise, we have people from 2 clubs doing the Speechcraft. So.
Here on Thursdays at 6:45.
Yes,
Okay.
and this would be week number 4 out of 8,
And where was it located again?
right here.
Oh, it is right here?
Yes,
Thursday?
yes, Thursday, yes.
At the same time?
Yes, 6:45, yes.
Well, I might come.
All right.
I thought it was out of town, but it's not.
Okay, if there is nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
Anyone take this?
No,
No.
just recycling.
just so you know, I too am a terrible golfer.
Yeah.
Diego, don't be big man.
You know how like the golf ball has all the little dimples, some are small, some